What is up, everybody? Happy Monday. Usual Monday crew, Mangone, Hoop, myself. Starting a little later today, and that's because, as Matthew Moore said in chat, some decent layover in the NFL main DraftKings 2-gamer. Appreciate you letting us know, Matt, and Hoop let me know too. I had 75 entries in that Monday 2-gamer. It overlay looks like by about 13,000. So I was scrambling, making 75 more lineups. Mangone was throwing something in the monster. We were all figuring out our teams. It just locked at 4 p.m. Hoop, throw it over to you first. That jersey, the man is in play right now. He will hopefully be scoring touchdowns while we're on this show. Hunter Renfrow, how's your day going? Big slate for prize pools for NFL, NBA. How's your Monday going?
Yeah, to hunt down Tambo and Big T. They're on the premium show before talking the 2-game slate. And your boy just hopped on and had to get in there. I mean, a Renfrow slate, perfect time to confront Big T and Tambo. And Big T's on there talking about fading Renfrow today. Renfrow's going to pound him. I hope Big T did fade him. I hope we get another 30 burger. The jersey's still on. It's staying on. It's a wild day for DFS, sports betting, all that. You got the NFL that starts at 5. We got NBA that starts at 7:30 Eastern, and then we have the Showdown slate, which is big tonight as well, which is like 8:20 Eastern. So it's boom, boom, boom. A lot of money to be had. RPS will be at the top of the leaderboards. Cannot wait.
Yeah, crazy Monday. I mean, tomorrow's going to be absolutely nuts too. We got one more football game, I believe. Maybe two. Is it two? Yeah, it is two. Yeah. That's what I thought I saw. So yeah, 2 more NBA. Crazy times. If you're not a member, there's no better times. I keep saying Saber 15 gets you 15% off. Get your Saber sim, gets the NFL product, NBA. We have everything up on the site. If you're playing tonight, I'll just say, and if you're playing today too on the 2-game slate, just play Justin Jefferson. It's that easy. Free square from title over here. Lock them in, 150. If you're playing with your wife too, which, hey, you're not supposed to do, but 300 lineups, you play 300 Justin Jeffersons over there. Obviously, no 300 lineups going on. Mangone, how's your day? Monday, NFL, NBA. You did the show spread earlier. I did a show spread earlier too on NFL. Make sure you guys check out the bet side. How's your day going, Mangone?
Yeah, title going out on a limb and saying Justin Jefferson's a free square. That's a real hot take there. But
almost as hot as Thielen over Jefferson. It's getting close.
I never said Thielen over Jefferson.
It might happen tonight. Thielen, they said he's going to warm up pre-game, so you might get some revenge, man.
I don't want him to play this game. That wouldn't. He's not ready. It's a high ankle sprain. I mean, maybe he's a hero and proves everyone wrong, but man, that's a tough injury to come back from. So that is an interesting dynamic. Not just injuries in the NBA. We also got in the NFL. And yes, I'm a donkey and joined the monster for NFL by accident instead of NBA. So we are trying to figure it out. I made a team in 2 minutes, but I was riding with Nick Mullins on DraftKings. I'm going to ride with him on FanDuel as well. So hopefully he can get the job done for me today. I also got Renfrow on there, Hoop. So maybe I'll be buying myself a Hunter Renfrow jersey as well. I know they're difficult to find, but you know a guy. So maybe I can get myself a Hunter Renfrow jersey after a nice little shipper tonight.
Hunter Renfrow. Yeah, I mean, Hunter Renfrow, the jerseys look nice. You gotta, what? Justin Jefferson's always my guy. I gotta find a low-key kind of guy. Renfrow started low-key this year off low-key. He's not low-key anymore.
Not anymore. I call him the mini Cooper Kupp. I said it on the premium show with the guys before. They did not like that term, but he's Cooper Kupp-esque, okay? He's making progress.
Cooper Kupp-esque. You heard it from him first. Yeah, I mean, he's been insane for sure. And if you guys got any best ball teams out there still live, I'm still sweating best ball, really enjoying it. Next week semis, the week after the championship. It's been a fun sweat over here. Got a couple live lineups. If you guys have been in best ball streets, I know we had a promo with Underdog preseason that you were able to get a free entry in the milli if you signed up. So any best ball teams out there, good luck avoiding all the minds with these injuries. I mean, we just saw with the Bucks yesterday, top 3 guys go down. Crazy times for NFL, but it's enough NFL talk. Saber 15% off. About to get an NBA. What's going on, Steve, Anthony, Nick Longrod, Shannon, Stephen Coy? What's going on, guys? Appreciate you hanging out. Hit the like button for us, please. Well, we got a 6-game NBA slate, not as big as we usually have on Mondays. So started a little late, shouldn't be a problem. We got a bunch of injury news, though. That doesn't change. So let's get into the first game of the day. The Philadelphia 76ers, the Boston Celtics. Lock is at 7:30 Eastern today instead of 7 Eastern, and this is the first game that locks. Standalone 7:30 Eastern game. So just something to note. 30 minutes later, this Philly side though, man, I mean, 213.5 total. Boston's favored by 3.5. This Philly side's nuts. So Niang, Furkan Korkmaz, Shake Milton, Drummond, and obviously Ben Simmons still all out. And then Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Danny Green are all questionable. As far as the Boston side, Tatum's questionable, Schroeder's questionable, Romeo Langford's questionable. They're already without Al Horford, Grant Williams, Josh Richardson, and then a couple bums that don't see the court much. That is 6 guys, Jason Tatum and Embiid, the best players on both teams that are questionable, Schroeder, Maxey, a bunch of role players. Hoop, I'll go to you. I don't know how you even can talk about this game, but this game's going to be important for DFS because I'm expecting someone to miss, probably already have injuries. Is it just going to be 7-7-7, 6:30, 6:30, 6:30 today, or what's your plan on this?
Yeah, I mean, what you do here is, I mean, fully dependent on the news. And at this point,
hold on. Before I interrupt you, I am sorry. Saber 15. There is no promo code anymore. My mistake. Thank you, Roderick Pope. C Web did it. Roderick Pope, good call. No Saber 15. There is no promo code right now. Thank you for keeping that.
It's over. It's over. You had your chance, 7 days. If you missed out, I just kind of feel sorry for you, really. This game's 100% dependent on the news. We don't have the news at this point. If Embiid's in and Tobias Harris in, their prices on DK are not all that appealing. I mean, Embiid's 11.6, Tobias Harris is 8.7. They both have much, much better price tags on FanDuel. Embiid's at 10.5K and Tobias Harris is at 7K. So if those guys are in, and then, they're missing some of these other guys. And, the better plays on FanDuel, I think very strong plays over there. You could probably make the case for Embiid, like either way at 10.5K and even Tobias Harris at 7. But you really just need to see on this one who's in and who's out. And then on the Boston side, injuries that we're waiting on there with Tatum questionable, Horford's going to miss, Schroeder questionable. We need to see like who's in, who's out. Like if Tatum were to miss, then probably going to look to a guy like Jaylen Brown, and then Robert Williams would get a big boost. He already has a little boost with Horford out. It's a game that's just really dependent on the news. We need the news here. We look at Robert Williams, 37 minutes and then 29 minutes last game. So he's already getting pretty good minutes. If Tatum were to miss, Tatum were to miss on top of Horford, probably project him for mid-30s in terms of minutes, and he's a guy that just kind of needs playing time to get there. So a game that's fully dependent on the news. We don't have the news at this point. First game on the slate, standalone game, 7:30 Eastern. We'll get it. Then we'll have to be ready to make the adjustments at that point.
Yeah, today's a big day to be on the Up to Lock or to tune into the Up to Lock show because this news is going to come. It has to come. It's the first game on the slate, and it can change the whole thing. I mean, we've talked about it a little bit, but Embiid out, Tobias. I know we got our boy Kevin McLean in chat. Tobias is a serious dust ball. Well, if Embiid are out and some of these other guys are out, as dusty as you might think he is, he's definitely going to be a strong play since they won't have as much or won't have too many others. If Schroeder's out, Tatum's out, there's Jaylen Brown. So look at the content. The core plays might be up a little later than usual. Big T's obviously will probably be about the same time. The news will always be up, but AP, myself, maybe a little later than usual. Up to Lock show, very important. We got to wait for this news. Mangone, if what's your approach on this? Obviously, you have to wait for the news to come, but any initial leans on in or outs? What are you thinking in this game?
We have to wait, but good news, Hoop. Hunter Renfrow, 29-yard punt return. So, hey, it's
Let's
not
go.
Points, but he's helping move the chains, right?
Yeah, you don't get fantasy points for that, but hey, that's that's a good sign. He's nimble on his feet today.
Yeah, I mean, when he scores on this drive on 3rd and 5, right? And he gets in the end zone. It's just, hey, the drive got extended early, and maybe that's the reason why he got in the end zone. So there you go. Just got to root on Hunter Renfrow and own Big T, but we should talk about this game, and it's one that we need news on. It's like I'm going to give you like the worst answer ever. It's like I don't know what to play here. Like the only thing I can mention is like, do I play guys here or do I wait a little bit for other things that are maybe better plays later on? I think that's kind of the approach unless we get some really just glaring plays that you need to go to. So there's no one I'm prioritizing here. I'm just going to wait for the news, see what happens, and then kind of think about, okay, how are these plays versus the plays that are later on? And is it worth it to lock into a Celtic or Sixer? You can make the argument because there's 3 games past 9 p.m. Eastern and 2 at 10 or later. There is merit to, you will know how your players have finished in this early game. So let's say you play a very low-owned Joel Embiid. Well, let's say he goes for 70 at 2%. Well, now you could eat more chalk around it. Let's say he busts completely. Well, now you don't want to eat some of the chalk around it. You need to figure out maybe some lower owned plays to go that can carry over the finish line. So that's the only way I would really handle this first game. And I currently just think it's not worth going to.
Yeah, makes sense. The news, we're going to get the news. If they're all in, and it might not be as appealing. If they're all out or some of the big names are out, they definitely will be appealing. Not too much more we can break down for this game. Up to Lock Show is going to cover that. Craig asked, is the Up to Lock Show going to be 30 minutes behind normal time? Yes, because the slate is 30 minutes later. The Up to Lock Show, 5:30 to 6:30 today. Holden, DC, and AP. So you get a good three-man crew. We'll break it down. 6:30 p.m. Eastern, taking you up to lock. Hingo Ace at NHL one-game showdown slate. So it looks like there's some NHL action in the streets too. EJ and Matty Ice have been crushing it. So make sure you check out some NHL. Drew Carpenter, what's going on? Our boy Glocks in chat. Appreciate you guys all hanging out with us. Hit the like button for us, please. Next game on the slate, we have a 6-game slate. This game locks at 8 p.m. Eastern. The Houston Rockets, the Chicago Bulls, 222.5 total. The Bulls are favored by 6.5, that is. Zach LaVine's out. Ayo Dosunmu, the rookie that we played a little bit from Illinois, he's out. Derek Jones is out. Troy Brown's out. Patrick Williams is still out, obviously. So they're without a good amount of bodies. And as far as Houston, Kevin Porter's out. Jalen Green's out. And then Armani Brooks is questionable. So there's some pieces in this game you have to have interest in. Javonte Green's 3.1K. He's getting the minutes. Alex Caruso, 5-1. There's Kobe White. And as far as the other side, there's like KJ Martin, Jay Sean Tate. Mangone, I'll go to you first. I think this game's pretty appealing. What do you think?
So it is appealing. It starts at 8, obviously. And again, like some later news could be lurking that you could be waiting on. But I do think there are options you can go to. This is a pretty high total. It's a 222.5. It might not be that Jazz Hornets total at 237.5, but that's not what all matters in DFS. So if you look at this Bull situation, we have no Zach LaVine. And this is the other day was the first time Zach LaVine wasn't there. DeRozan did all the takeover mode in the fourth quarter. Vucevic, Ball, I think they're all like good DFS plays that you can play on this slate. The only issue I have is it depends on what value plays you're looking at. I think they're good spend up options that can be contrarian in your tournaments. But my only concern with going to them is if they could take up a really good value. So you have to kind of wait on the news to figure out the rankings of how I would go to them. I think it just depends on like positions. Depends like, okay, like if we have a lot of really good center values, I don't know. I don't think I want to go to Vucevic as much. Obviously, on the flip side, ownership could then come into play where Vucevic just isn't owned and he could obviously have a really good ceiling spot if you don't think those values are really good at the center position. So that's something to mention. On the Rocket side, I don't see guys I'm prioritizing. They have had some guys out and, the price tags have gotten bumped up, but now Christian Wood's back. So yes, Christian Wood, could he have a good game at that price tag at 8.8? Yes, but do I need to prioritize him? No, I don't think he's one of the better spend ups on this slate. I think Jay Sean Tate's not a bad play. And then Eric Gordon is definitely taking more command in the offense. And with it being guard and forward eligible, he can kind of fit into some more lineups. And I'm not saying Eric Gordon should run the point guard for 82 games a year on an NBA team, but can he do it for 5? Yeah, certainly. And he can be very productive and have some really good games. So at this price, I still think there is some opportunity there for him to have a nice little ceiling. So I don't think he's too bad of an option, but I'm really trying to figure out, in tournaments, which one of these studs on the Bulls is worth going to the most in my lineups. And right now my lean is Lonzo Ball, but I don't know for sure which one it's going to be.
Ooh, that's a good segue to you. Yeah, I think Vooch, I think Lonzo, I think DeMar DeRozan, which we haven't really mentioned. I think all three are in play without LaVine for sure. Mark and Chad asked about DeRozan too. Rank your favorite 3 spend ups for the Bulls, and then what else you got in this game?
Yeah, so I mean the Bulls are in a good spot here, obviously with LaVine out. They run a tight rotation, so that's the key thing here. I mean, you're going to get a lot of guys if it's a close game that play 35 to 40 minutes, and that's exactly what you want for DFS purposes. In terms of ranking these guys, I mean, Green is, to me, Javonte Green's probably the best, 3.1K.
Just rank the studs.
The studs, yeah. So the studs, I'd probably go Vooch. I'd probably go Vooch, DeRozan, and then Lonzo Ball. But like I said, if I'm playing 150, I'm not playing 150 tonight. But if I were to be, I want exposure to all these guys. And I want a couple of bulls. As it stands now, this could change if we get like the crazy news that like, the 76ers are going to be super thin or the Celtics are going to be super thin if all those guys sit. As it stands now, I want a couple bulls, I think, on almost all my teams. I got Caruso and Green as good value plays. And then you have the other three guys as strong spends as well. On the Rocket side, I agree with the Eric Gordon thing, kind of starting to take control a little bit more. The minutes have been up. The shot attempts have been up. You can count on playing around 30 minutes. He's showing some 40 fantasy point upside, which would be great at his price point. Jayshawn Tate's a guy I was playing a lot early on. I mean, the minutes are frustrating with him, though, because he's a solid player. He can really contribute across the board, but they seem very hesitant to get him over 30 minutes, which is super frustrating. So my favorite would definitely be Eric Gordon on the Rockets side, but really, really like the Bulls side here tonight on the slate.
Yep, I agree. I think the Bulls definitely are better. Again, all this stuff, like maybe we don't need a Vooch or Alonzo and stuff. If like Embiid or Tatum, there's Jaylen Brown, maybe that will open up more value, and then you'll want to jam in some more Bulls, some spend up. So I think the Bulls are good plays. They still have the big three, as I'll say, Vucevic, DeRozan, Lonzo, they can all get there, but they do eat into the ceiling a little bit. Decent game, though, good total, one that I'll have some pieces on. Let's get into the next game, though. We got 6 games on the slate. Hit the like button for us, please. We appreciate it. Oklahoma City Thunder, the Memphis Grizzlies, 215.5 total. Memphis is favored by 9. This is the other game that locks at 8 p.m. Eastern, and then we have an hour until the next game that locks at 9. These are the two teams. This is the run back from one of the biggest blowouts you'll ever see. I think it was 78-point victory I think Memphis had over OKC's G League team that one game. But now it's a different story. OKC is pretty much fully healthy, which is one of the few teams, I mean, in the NBA right now that are like that. And as far as Memphis, they're dealing with a little injuries. Tyus Jones is questionable. Brandon Clark's still doubtful. But Ja Morant is questionable today, which is really good news, really big news. He got hurt about a month ago, a non-contact injury, which I thought it was going to be pretty severe. Very lucky and fortunate that he's going to be returning sooner rather than later. He's questionable. I have no news if he's going to be in or if he's out. He's going to be limited, obviously, if he is in. But if he's in, I don't really have interest in anybody in this game, I don't think. If he's out, you can continue to go like a Dylan Brooks and a Bane and stuff, I think. Especially if Tyus and Morant are out, then I definitely have some interest on this Memphis side. Mangone, I'll go to you, break down this game.
Yeah, I mean, if you tell me that Ja Morant is in, it's going to just knock everyone and just not like I just wouldn't even touch the game. On the Memphis side, if Ja Morant is out, you do have some good plays here, right? Dylan Brooks at 6.4K. He's a really good option that you can go to. He is definitely like more of like the leader on the offense, you could say, the guy that's kind of controlling it. It's like him and Tyus Jones, but Dylan Brooks will actually shoot the ball. And it feels like Dylan Brooks is the best option there. I don't mind Tyus Jones, but not someone I'd be prioritizing. Desmond Bane is putting up some more shots. The price is starting to get a little up there, but I think he still can get the job done at that price tag. And then Jaren Jackson, man, it's tough with him because you understand the usage is there, right? It's a good usage rate. You understand he's a good fantasy per minute producer. The problem are the fouls. And another thing to think about is if this game does blow out, I mean, they do have enough big men that they can just mix and match in there and some younger big men that they might want to get some minutes against the Thunder. So I think Jaren Jackson comes with a little more risk today. I do think he's a good play. He's going to grade out as a good play, but I do want to think about how I roster him. I prefer Dylan Brooks the most, though, of anyone here on the Memphis side if Ja Morant does sit.
I'm with you. Yeah, I mean, Dylan Brooks finally, someone in chat just said Dylan Brooks finally shot the ball well. Finally, I got to play right in my core. I saw Fallick had a really good day as well last night. He had Dylan Brooks, 49 DK points, 34% usage, 37 real ones he put up yesterday. I mean, yeah, momentum, catching fire. Dylan Brooks is going to shoot. His usage is going to be above 20. If Morant's out, I think going to a hot Dylan Brooks makes a lot of sense because he's going to chuck it for sure. Memphis, anybody on that side? And I don't see anyone on OKC. I think it's a pretty easy cross off, but do you see something I don't?
Yeah, with everything going on right now in the NBA, I mean, you're not going to be playing guys from teams that are fully loaded, fully healthy. And the Thunder somehow are one of the only teams in the NBA that's at full strength. So I don't want to be here at all. I don't think there's any reason to consider anyone on the Thunder side. On the Memphis side, it's clearly going to depend on what happens here with Ja Morant. He's questionable. I could have swore I saw something about Steven Adams being questionable, but maybe that was a misprint or something. Maybe it was that other dude. Okay. But Morant questionable and Tyus Jones questionable. If they both were to sit, I agree with you guys. Dylan Brooks becomes a strong play. Desmond Bain, somebody that we can consider. So I'm going to be most likely looking at the guards. But on the other side, if Ja Morant's in, probably not going to be playing anyone on the Memphis side. So again, another situation where we're kind of waiting on the news. This is a 8 p.m. Eastern game. Probably have this before lock, so you'll be able to know what to do. But if Morant, Tyus Jones are out, big boost for Dylan Brooks and Desmond Bain and Melton. I want to throw Melton in the mix too. D'Anthony Melton could potentially see a start, and he would be a strong play too. But if all these guys are in, it's probably a spot where we won't really be going there all that much.
Frederick Litton, yep, he said, don't forget about Melton too. Or he said, don't forget about Melton if Ja's out too. And Tyus Jones, so if Tyus is also if Ja's out, Tyus is in. I still have a little interest, but not as much. If Tyus and Ja are out, though, that's 2 ball handlers. Obviously, we've seen Ja out for a little bit, but haven't seen Tyus out that whole time. Then you definitely got to like some of these Memphis ball handlers more. You did bring up a good point, Hoop, though. Yeah. So this is the second game that locks at 8 p.m. Eastern. 3 games start 8 p.m. Eastern, or 2 8 p.m. Eastern, 1 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Then we have an hour break and some night games. I'm going to read off the injury report quick so you guys get a sense of what we're waiting for if you do backload. The Embiid news we're already going to get first game. Tatum we're going to get. Morant we're going to get. Paul George is questionable, which is a big one in a later game. Richaun Holmes is questionable, I saw. That's in a later game as well. Schroeder, Maxey, Tyus Jones, Armani Brooks, Danny Green, all those other guys are pretty much in the first set of games. So pretty much only news you're waiting for, Paul George and Richaun Holmes. The Paul George news is big. I don't know, Mangone, Hoop, if you have any insight on kind of how you plan on approaching it, are you going to try and save a couple spots? Are you just not going to really care about Paul George? And if you somehow fall on the first 3 games and your team's good, are you just going to be fine going for it, not waiting? Any initial thoughts on that?
Well, you got a couple big situations at 10 p.m. Eastern and beyond. You got Richaun Holmes and you got Paul George. I don't think I'm going to build my teams based on this news. Specifically speaking about the Paul George situation. Yeah, if he misses, like some of these guys get big boosts, but it gets kind of spread out, and there hasn't been like a standout guy that you have to play when Paul George is out. Now we're talking inflated prices too. You got Reggie Jackson 7.6K. Luke Kennard, 6K, Terrence Mann, 5.4. So you're really not getting price breaks on anyone. So I'm not going to be building around the news tonight.
Cool. Good answer, Mangone. Anything for you?
So I'm not building around that news, but I do feel like I'm going to play a bunch of, the prices have gone up on these Sacramento guys, but I am still getting some of them in there. I'm probably going to get some Golden State guys too. So you can
naturally you'll just have some, you think?
I think naturally you have the opportunity to late swap the stuff if you want to, right? I just think you'll have the ability to get to a Paul George if you'd like based on your construction. I think there's opportunity to. He's not someone I'm building around. I'll say that, right? And there is opportunity for some of these Clippers to have better spots. Serge Ibaka could easily be a guy that could have a really good game and get nice usage with no Marcus Morris. So I'm not building for it though. I think it's something that I'll decide based on some of the other news, but I do think you are going to play some later guys where you might have the opportunity to pivot to some of those guys later on if you want to.
Makes sense. Just something I wanted to bring up. I think it's important. If you guys have been watching the show, game theory is just as important. And this kind of goes along with game theory. It's just as important as picking certain players blindly and stuff like that. You have to have a plan. If you're in GPPs, you think everyone's going to be on the first 3 games. Backload a little bit then, because if Paul George is out, if Richaun Holmes is out, it opens up more stuff. So good answers, something important, I think. Let's get to the next game on the slate. The 4th game locks at 9 p.m. Eastern. The Charlotte Hornets, the Utah Jazz. The Jazz are, second biggest favorites on this slate at 12.5. Monster 237.5 total on this slate. Supposed to blow out, but it's supposed to have good pace. The problem is both these teams are pretty healthy. As you were saying, about last game. Cody Martin's out. Gordon Hayward's doubtful. Kelly Oubre should start in Gordon Hayward's place. However, the Charlotte team is pretty priced up, as we've seen, because they've been dealing with so many injuries the past couple of weeks. Oop, I'm going to go to you. Two pretty healthy teams, big spread, but a big total. What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean these are spots I typically like to fade. Jazz at home as big favorites, but then you look at that total and it's like what 20 points, 15 points bigger than
when's the last time we've seen 235 plus this year?
That's wild. It's a big boy number. And then it's a spot I typically like to avoid. Jazz at home going against a pretty crappy team. And in all honesty, I probably still will avoid this spot, despite the big total. Charlotte, I mean, these guys they're expensive. Like LaMelo Ball at 9.6K on DK against Utah in Utah. Like I can't do that. Miles Bridges, 8K. Kelly Oubre, 6.7K. I just don't see any viable play here. Like I just can't pay the price tags for these guys. Then you go to the Jazz. I mean, they're projected to score 125 points. Donovan Mitchell, 9.7K. Rudy Gobert, 9.2K. Conley, I guess maybe Conley's the guy at 6K as the last guy in, 30 minutes. I don't know. He hasn't flashed a ton of ups. I don't know. I'll probably fade this game and just hope Jazz blow him out. And, no one really buries me. Like I said, Mitchell at 9.7K. I just can't do that. Gobert at 9.2. I can't do that either. So I guess if this spot beats me, it beats me, but I'll be fading.
Yeah, I don't like this game too much either. Mangone, what are your thoughts on it? And then Anthony said Plumlee got to play more to guard Gobert ? So touch on that comment too.
So he has to play more, but the issue I have with it is, well, what happens when he gets in the foul trouble? And then they go to the small ball lineups. And then when they go to the small ball lineups, it's working and they're pulling Rudy Gobert from the rim. Well, then of course, then Mason Plumlee doesn't get minutes anymore. So like there is risk to that route where I don't think it's like a stone lock. I don't think you can just say, okay, Mason Plumlee's playing 28 to 30 minutes. Based on his price and based on when you calculate the fantasy point per minute, he's a good player. I just think that there's a lot more risk to him than leads on there. So I think I have a lot of issues with the Charlotte Hornets because as crazy as it sounds, I don't know, do the Charlotte Hornets, do they need Cody Martin for their defense to really thrive? And then losing Gordon Hayward and then adding all these usage guys together on the court, when you have LaMelo Ball, Rozier, Oubre, Bridges, and Mason Plumlee, who steals usage unlike a PJ Washington at the 5, I just think it messes up their construction of their team. And it has too many offensive guys than defensive guys in there. And I think it just ruins their construction. And that's why you're seeing this total so high. I honestly think that Jazz 12.5 could be higher. I think it could be 14.5. It just, I think this Jazz team is going to beat them bad. It's second night of a back-to-back in Utah too, as well. I also think that leaves some issues with a Donovan Mitchell, a Mike Conley, a Rudy Gobert, who they could easily see less minutes here because if it blows out too much. Yes, I know Quinn Snyder's pretty good at securing up their minutes, but it is something to think about when you're looking at 9.2K Rudy Gobert. This is not 8.2K Rudy Gobert anymore. If you got Donovan Mitchell at 9.7, I mean, that's a hefty price tag. When you play DeJounte Murray against the Clippers at 9.8K instead, I think I'd rather go there. So it's definitely something to think about when building out your lineups. And I am currently thinking about staying away from this game. I think it's a game that, yes, in tournaments, if you do play guys in this game, I'd probably game stack it if you really like this game, because that means the game stays close. And if it hits a 237.5 total and the game is close, well, you're going to have a lot of fantasy points. And I want exposure to the game as maybe not a full game stack, but I probably want at least 4 guys from this game, because then it's super unique. And I wouldn't just be mixing and match 1 or 2 guys. I would just want to kind of push on this game if I liked guys. I do not like guys though in this game.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you think it stays pretty close, big total, game stack a game, not too many people are on it, I definitely think that makes a little sense. Not a game I'm really on either. All 3 of us, not too much. Craig said Jalen McDaniels get any blowout run here at 3.3K. I mean, probably you would get some, but I never am one to predict blowouts really, because you got to bank on a coach doing something and being smart, and we don't really see these situations too much. He has over 20 DK points 2 of the last 3 games. He's played 27 minutes yesterday. It's a back-to-back for the Hornets. He's 3-3. I think you could do a little worse. Does he get blowout run? Probably, if it gets there. However, it is still a 6-game slate, and we do have some pretty good value. So I don't think you'd really need to do it. 150 max only play for me. That's kind of how I approach it. I'm looking at it. Our boy Glock, he likes Steve Mitch, it sounds like, a little bit in tournaments. Garrett said he likes Steve Mitch a little bit too. So if you want to go low on D-Mitch, I don't mind that. Just wanted to point that out from Glock. 3 for 3, though, from us. Not a game we're really going to have too much of. So I say we get into the next game. Those are two pretty healthy teams. Next game, Sacramento Kings, Golden State Warriors. I said 12.5 for Utah being favored was the second highest. The Golden State Warriors are favored by 13. We have a 221.5 total. And we have some injury news. Andrew Wiggins is out. Jordan Poole's out. Then obviously Clay and Wiseman are still out as well. As far as the Sacramento side, De'Aaron Fox is still out. Bagley's out. Len's out. Davion Mitchell's out. Terrence Davis is out. And then Rashawn Holmes is questionable, which we were talking about. If Holmes is out, I expect Tristan Thompson to split the center minutes again, probably. I don't really love Tristan Thompson. I think the best plays are Metu. Tyrese Halliburton's been going off lately. Finally good seeing my boy get going. Buddy Hield's playing well. I think all three of those are pretty good plays. As far as the Warriors side, I got a little interest in Otto Porter. With all these injuries, 3.7K, we know he can chuck it. Think makes some sense too. Man, go and break down this game for us.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of the games you're looking to target tonight. Halliburton at 7K, when you take De'Aaron Fox out of that lineup, well, he's now the creator, right? And he probably should have a higher price tag than it is right now if, you had this role. So I think Halliburton's a really good play, but he Hield 5'8", pretty good spot for him. Their defense could suffer some. Yes, they're going to slide probably Peyton into the lineup, but they did lose a bunch of guys, right? So that does make some sense where I think you could see the Warriors defensively struggle a little bit more, where the Kings, I think getting De'Aaron Fox out of the game right now with him being frustrated and the way he's just playing more ISO ball, I think it just makes sense for them to be playing better team basketball. And I think all these guys are touching the ball and getting decent usage. Like Harrison Barnes at 6K in that revenge game, I think it's still not a bad spot for him at that price tag. I think Metu's still fine. If Holmes is in, well, that's going to muddy up the situation even more. So that is definitely something we have to watch for. And it could go the other way. We're talking about liking some of these Kings. Well, if Holmes is in and you're waiting for some of this news and Holmes gets ruled in, well, now you're kind of rostering worse plays. So that is something to think about compared to some maybe other values that we could get earlier on. So I think that Tristan Thompson, another guy at 4-3, if Holmes is out, he definitely could be a really decent option. And one reason why all these guys are really good plays is who are the guys behind them? Well, it's Mo Harkless, Jamarius Randall, Justin Robinson, Damian Jones, Neemias Queta, Robert Wooder. I mean, just all really bad basketball players. And they're definitely they're not playing with only 8 bodies, but it feels like it's basically 8. There are a couple guys that are just not going to they're not going to have 9 bodies or 10 bodies. And some of those guys coming off the bench are not just going to go in and play 20 minutes. It's just not going to be split up like that. So I'm taking Halliburton, Buddy Hield, Barnes, Metu, and if Holmes is out, definitely Tristan Thompson. I'm taking all those guys very seriously. It's really great plays. And then on the Warriors side, if you have the money to spend up for Steph Curry, sure, I think it's a match we can do well in, but he's not someone I'm prioritizing within my lineups. I think some of the values are better. I think Gary Payton could be in play. I think Otto Porter could be a decent option. I wouldn't play Draymond Green unless I was playing a bunch of Kings run backs, because that means maybe the game stays a little bit closer. And then Damian Lee off the bench, I think could be a really good option, or I could even see him starting. It's either going to be Lee or Payton starting. I wouldn't be surprised if they went Lee and just put him in that Curry role, but I also wouldn't be shocked if they started Otto Porter and had Gary Payton in there as the lower usage guy that plays some defense. So it just depends on that starting lineup. I think that's going to be very important. So, and then one last guy I want to mention who is going to slide into this, he's going to slide into having a significant role here, I believe, is Juan Toscano Anderson. I think he's going to have a significant role, even if the game is close. And if it's a blowout, I think he's out there with a lot of the scrubs still playing, where I think he's a pretty good option at 4K that I think is a really good tournament play that people might not consider as much. So this is a loaded game. It's a good one to get some exposure to. And I'm definitely thinking this is my favorite game right now on the entire slate.
I like it for sure. What do we got? Travis Coach Smith in chat. He said, Holmes has been ruled out. Great stuff, guys. I think you should check your injury report again. I don't see Holmes being ruled out. He was ruled out for yesterday's game. He has a questionable tag today is what I see. Hoop, Mangone. You guys see the same thing? Questionable?
Officially questionable yesterday. Yeah, I mean, he was out yesterday, but today he's officially questionable.
Still from that gash on his eye, I think, from last week.
Travis, if you have the proof and stuff like that, I'm happy to make a wager on it right now at this time of 3:36 Mountain Time. Like, I think you're wrong here on this one. Maybe, and if you have the information, Travis, I don't even know why you're telling me. Like, don't like keep that to yourself because you could have a massive edge on this slate bet. Like, why are you even saying this? Unless you're like, some contents. I think you're wrong on this one, man. So
that's all right. That's all right, Travis. Coach Smith. He is questionable though. If he's going to play or not, we'll find that out later. It is the gash under his eye. I still do believe. First of all, Bryn Edwards, Chad, I'm a little disappointed. There was a touchdown, 12 minutes ago? And I just found this out right about now. Bryn Edwards, 5-yard touchdown from Carr.
Because no one rostered him, Title. That's why.
Well, I'm excited to see how much I have in my 150 I built in like 7 minutes. Hopefully I got a little bit. And Simon's got 20%. He just said in my ear, that a boy, Simon. Right when it happened, I was waiting for you in my ear, Simon, letting me know he got a touchdown. And then Peoples Jones, one of my buddies just texted me saying Peoples Jones, big drop. So I got some People Jones. I don't like seeing that. I'm going to go over to you though. This is NBA. Had to get a little NFL in there. Warriors and Kings. It's a pretty big spread, which you don't like targeting too much, but I don't think you can ignore this situation with some bodies out.
Yeah, I mean, Mangone broke it down really perfectly, and I agree with every point. So, I mean, not a ton more to add, but yeah, I mean, this Kings team, they're in a good spot again. I mean, very thin with all the guys out. Could be even thinner, obviously, with Rashawn Holmes if he were to miss, but they're not going to play these guys on the bench. Like, obviously, if they're getting smoked by 30, yeah, these guys will play in the fourth quarter. But as it stands, like, these guys are all going to continue to play a lot of minutes. Halliburton, Hield, Barnes, Metu, and then if Sean Holmes is out, Tristan Thompson's in the mix as well. So, I mean, a really good team tonight for DFS purposes. The prices are not where they should be with their current injury situation. So, have to love the Kings side. And then on the Warriors, Steph Curry's much cheaper on FanDuel. He's under 10K. I believe he's like 9.7. Very good price tag for him. 11.8 on DK, a little more difficult. Gary Payton, Otto Porter, those guys get boost with Poole and Wiggins out. I like the Toscano Anderson call. Maybe even a little Draymond Green. He'll probably pick up a little bit for those guys. 7-1 on DK. I don't hate that. It's a really good game for DFS purposes. A lot of ownership on the Kings side, but I think it's a spot that you still want to be on. You want to have a couple Kings tonight. So yeah, good game for DFS purposes for sure.
Yep, 3 for 3. It feels nice. A big Tyrese Halliburton fan over here. Grew up in Wisconsin, played against for a while. Finally feels good seeing Tyrese. I mean, obviously the injuries are so crowded in the backcourt. Davion Mitchell, Fox, and all that. But 3 consecutive 40 pieces plus. He fills up peripheral stats. He can score the ball too. It's really nice seeing him succeed in the league. So just wanted to say that. Shout out to Tyrese Halliburton. Very strong play again today. Next game, last game of the slate, I say we get to it. Well, we got 312 watching, 127 likes. What do we say? 175, 185? Well, what are we thinking? I'm not going to say 200, but I do want it where if we don't get it, I got to hold the plays. 175, we thinking?
175 is fair. I mean, a lot of shit going on today. We got NFL, we got NBA, got NFL again tonight. So it's Monday as well, so a lot of things working against us. But let's get to 175, get to the plays of the day, and meet in the winner's circle at that.
Yeah, that's less than 50 more likes. That shouldn't be too hard. Over 300 watching. Not asking too much. We appreciate it for sure. Ian says Oshkosh represent. What's going on, Ian? I like that for sure. Excited to be back in Oshkosh in the next coming week. Mark says, when is Curry explosion? Mark, if we knew when the Curry explosion was, we'd all win the money. I want that 87 piece or 78 piece or whatever Curry put up not too long ago, but it's always in the realm of possibilities. As Hoop said, a lot better price tag on FanDuel than it is DraftKings. That's enough of that though. Last game of the night, the San Antonio Spurs, the Los Angeles Clippers, 10:30 p.m. Eastern is the start time. Clippers are favored by 5, 217 total. As far as the Clippers, like we said, Paul George is questionable. Marcus Morris and Hartenstein are already out. Doug McDermott's probable. Nobody on the Spurs that we really have to worry about. If Paul George is out, yeah, I mean, Terrence Mann, I think, becomes a good play. Batum, you get Luke Kennard, Reggie Jackson, but the prices have come up, like you guys said. As far as the Spurs side, I don't know. Keldon Johnson, Jakob Poeltl, Lonnie Walker. This game doesn't excite me too much. I think there are some plays you can get to. Mangone, what do you see?
Yeah. So if you look at this game, I mean, it's definitely one that I I like, but I'm not like going out of my way to be like, I need to play these guys. So I think that it's a nice to have the pivot, right? It's nice that like that Kings Warriors game just isn't on like a complete island, that there are options that you can go to. Paul George is someone that I would like. I don't know if I need to pay the price tag for. I think it's a good spot for him, but he's not someone I'm prioritizing. If I happen that I can get up to him and like if I need a pivot, sure, I'll happily go to him, but not someone just like jamming into my lineups. I assume he's playing, but we just don't know. DeJounte Murray, I like at 9.8. I think he's a good option that you can go to, and he can have, I think he can have a massive game. So I think he's a good contrarian spend up option. It just depends what you think of him versus like, I don't know, like Alonzo Ball. And I think I like Lonzo a little bit more based on like a value perspective of trying to, construct a lineup and think of, what's his point per dollar going to be versus the other guy. I know he's a stud and raw points can matter, but that's just how I'm thinking from the point guard position. I know Derek Wade's got off to a little bit of a nice start as of late. It's kind of fallen off a little, like last game against Sacramento. He struggled and he can be a little up and down. So he's more of a tournament play, not someone I really want to get exposure to as much in my cash games. I do think with there being no Marcus Morris, it's a little thinner in the front court. Obviously, Marcus Morris is someone that chucks up a ton of shots, and he's someone that goes to that power forward position. And you could see Paul George slide to the 3 possibly throughout this game. I do think he might play sometime at the 4. And it could be a spot where they just need to play Zubac more and they can't play as many small ball lineups. It just depends on what happens with Nick Batum's minutes in this spot. So I want to see what his minutes will make it be. I want to understand what Ibaka's role is going to be. So if I am going to play some of these guys, I'm definitely paying close attention to it because I think that's going to matter. I'm going to pay attention to an hour and a half before, what happens with some guys getting rolled in and out, what happens with the coach speak and stuff like that. I think that's going to be pretty important with this game.
Yeah, I'm glad you kind of brought up Zubac. Colin in chat said Zubac has to get a ton of minutes, right? Spurs are a good matchup. You like playing a big against. They have Jakob Poeltl, they have Eubanks. They mainly have a big out there at a time. So I think Ibaka's 3K. Like he'll get about 20 minutes. I think you could do worse. I don't love Ibaka. Zubac, on the other hand, I think we see a mid-20s minutes, maybe even push 30 at 4.9K, which you told me he plays 30 minutes at 4.9. I'm definitely playing Zubac. I don't think he's going to be too crazy owned too. So Hoop, I'm going to go over to you, but I just want to let the people know 15 more likes. The time is winding down. Hoop.
Yeah. Zubac, I mean, the main issue with him is always minutes. Like if he gets minutes, he's usually pretty productive. They're never going to push him for a ton. Mid-20s is probably the cap. Don't hate him as like a last guy in type play. But on the Clipper side, you're really going to have to wait and see what happens with Paul George. Problem is, like we said, these guys are all kind of priced up a little bit. My favorite, if you were to sit, would probably be Terrence Mann, 5.4K, very reasonable price tag for him. Reggie Jackson got all the way up to like 7.6K for some reason. Just a crazy price tag on DraftKings for him. So I probably would be off of him regardless. And then on the Spurs side, they're just always a tough team for DFS. Can definitely play DeJounte Murray. I think on most slates, you can play him tonight. Continues to come in low owned. Derek White's fine on DK at 6.5, but man, on FanDuel, I think they got him way up close to like 8K. Can't do that. Poeltl's a pretty safe option. You can count on him playing somewhere around 30 minutes. Typically gets you about 30 fantasy points. Don't hate that, but this game we need the Paul George news. Last game on the slate, we're not going to have it when rosters lock. And as I said earlier, like I'm not going to build my teams to wait for the Paul George news tonight.
Yep, I agree. 10:30 Eastern, because we should get it before the 10 p.m. Eastern games, but just the chance that you somehow didn't. I brought the question up earlier when we talked through it all. I don't think the right approach is waiting for the Paul George news. If you're building 150, you want to set aside 15 teams or something and have an approach that way. I wouldn't hate it. I think you get a little contrarian, but I don't think that you need to, if you're building one entry, to wait for that. 165 likes. I was talking to try and give the people some time. I don't think unless we get 10 likes really closely, I don't think that's going to happen. We're talking in chat right now about flat bills and stuff and bending your cap and all that. So funny conversation going on there. Couldn't get 175 likes. So I think I'm going to cut it. 175. I mean, that's not too much to ask for. It's hurtful. My play of the day is going to be on the cash chart. Mangone's play of the day. I'm telling Mangone, he's going to put his on the cash chart. Hoop, you got to find a play. Put it in Discord, Hoop. You got to
in Discord right now.
Going in Discord right now, Hoops play of the day. Mine will be on the cast chart. Mangone's will be on the cast chart too. I don't like doing it. 175 likes isn't too hard, but we appreciate you guys all for the other 169 people that did hit the like button. We appreciate it. We appreciate you guys all hanging out with us too, though. Fun 6-game slate, fun 2-game NFL slate, 2 NFL games tomorrow. Content's going to be going all week long. NFL, NBA. I'm not sure what else. A little MMA break right now. I know NASCAR, a little break, PGA, but NBA, NFL, the big ones going on. All the content on the site. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm not going to be we hit 178. Simon just
too little, too late.
That's what I was saying. I was still about to abandon it. Simon said my ear hoop. What are we doing?
You gotta set ground rules, and the people knew, and it was too little, too late. Maybe tomorrow we get there.
That's how I kind of said it too. Yeah, people saying we're at 138, we hit 175. You guys did a little too late, though. I mean, when the buzzer rings and you hit a buzzer beater after the buzzer rings, what happens? It just doesn't count sometimes. So, plays of the day on the site, we're still going to give them out, of course. Cast chart for Mango and myself, Hoop in the Discord. Sign up. We don't have a promo code right now, but it's a great deal regardless. Make sure you sign up. Run Pure Sports. You can find all the content. It was fun breaking it down. Time to go watch some football, build some NBA winners. I won't be on the show until Christmas or after Christmas. So hope you guys all have a great Christmas. I don't see you. Happy New Year. Probably will see you before then, but appreciate you guys all hanging out. It's been a fun year. Hope you guys have a great Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. For Simon, Behind the Sticks, Mangone, Hoop, myself, Title Town. Good luck, everybody.